So I'm here with part 3 of my stupid little worst fan fiction of all time. Man, I've had taken time to read a little bit of this, and man, it was not very good. I'm gonna keep saying that. I know a lot of people are just sitting there like, why does he keep saying it was awful? Because it was. So, last time we left off, Mario pulled out his iPhone 5 and told everyone he knows about Stewie's party, in which are world renowned somehow, and no one knew about it. Stewie planned a party and no one knew about it, but at the same time his parties are always known to be the best, and he needed Mario's help to get it known. It was so freaking dumb. But when I was 12 years old, I thought I was doing the damn thing. So I'm going to suffer and read this to you guys and elaborate on what my horrible decisions have led me to become. And you guys are just going to enjoy and eat food or whatever you're doing right now when you look at my videos. So let's begin. So Mario pulls out the phone. Stewie says, "Oh my God, is that an iPhone 5? I got one for Christmas." Pulls it out, and it has a picture of a man's abs. So this was the era of Family Guy. We're already in that area of Family Guy where Stewie's sexuality is questionable. This is a reference to the episode where him and Brian were locked inside of the bank. And basically, Stewie has no charge left on his phone or something. He wants Stewie to text someone. Basically, the butt of the joke was that Stewie had a picture of a man's abs on his phone, and it was just really weird. But I thought it was really funny, so I put a reference to that in there. Mario says, "Stewie," and Stewie says, "What?" And then there's this awkward silence. I'm not sure if Brian actually did that with him, but it was actually really, really funny. So, and I didn't like Brian as a character at all. Basically, take that rant that Quagmire did on him and times it by 20, and that's the reason I don't like Brian. The only reason I sort of like him is that him and Stewie are like best friends. So there's this long awkward silence. And I see what I thought these 3 dots here in the middle, and you guys are going to see because I'm going to put these right here. There's these 3 dots, and these are supposed to indicate a transition into a new scene, a new sort of territory. So Princess Peach and Zelda, I assume, are somewhere. Maybe they just entered the room. I'm not even sure. I don't even remember, and that's the thing. That's what's wrong with not exfoliating on what in the world your characters are doing, because no one has any clue but you, and I don't have all my memories from when I was 12 years old. So here we are. So I gotta make stuff up. So we begin with Zelda, and I wanted to match these characters, and that's been the whole theme of this. Like, bam, we first began with Mario, okay, and now we're gonna turn and begin with Zelda, and but in a perfectly ordered world, we'll begin with Mario and then we'll begin with Peach. They are the most popular series, and it's just appropriate to do so. But I wanted to mismatch. I wanted to be edgy. I wanted to be unorthodox. So there we go. Basically, Zelda says Stewie's having a party. Peach says, "Check my phone." Apparently, I really hammered home the fact that I wanted this to be more modern. Like I really did. This was awful. So Peach says, apparently, in the most uninteresting way. She checks her phone. Apparently. I don't know. Peach, Zelda, and Link run up to Mario and Stewie. I don't know where they got separated at. I don't remember, because Link was sitting next to Mario in the previous scene, where after they just got through the race. So I don't know when Mario and Stewie got lost and separated. But basically, I wanted Stewie and Mario's relationship to reign supreme in this, in a sense. So Peach, Zelda, and Link went up to Mario and Stewie. Mario and Stewie turned to them. I put an emphasis on a lot of their actions. Do you guys ever really play a game where they turn? Okay, so let's say Mario and Sonic, if they have a story mode, if someone runs up behind them then there's this pause, and then the character models slowly turn that direction. So I wanted to get that sort of feeling where it almost feels stiff like those games. I don't know what it is, but everything is it just feels scripted. But there was a certain appeal to that. Like my life was a video game at that point. So forgive the cringiness. That is just shows how cringy and just how impressionable I was back then. It was really, really interesting. But continuing, Mario and Stewie turn to them. Peach, you're really having a party, Stewie? And in hindsight, Peach wasn't interesting. Like Peach, I didn't really have any plans for Princess Peach. But she says you're having a party. She just does boring sort of talk dialogue here and there. So she was really boring in this whole thing in hindsight. And Stewie says, yep, there's gonna be cool whip fights and everything. So you know what? I don't even have to explain that. Stewie puts like a bunch of emphasis on H's. He had it was obviously a cool whip, and there was also a wheat thin. So I was addicted to Family Guy names at that point. So anything with an H in it, Stewie would whip, cool whip, wheat thins. So it was interesting to say the least how I responded to those certain jokes. My humor was very different back then, obviously to say the least. But Link says what? So Link is the victim. Link is the victim of this one. Last couple of times, Brian was the victim of this one. But Link says what? Stewie says cool whip. I said Link says why are you putting you putting so much emphasis on the H. So before it even starts, Mario says, never mind that. Yes, we're having a party. And I like how Mario just includes himself in it. He's like, yeah, we're having a party. It's not Stewie's party. It's our party. But in any case, Zelda says, yes, I have to go shopping. Runs with Peach out of the building. What building, Will? What building? What building? There's no exposition there. That's what I was hitting at earlier. I didn't really explain. I did an awful job explaining this stuff, but Mario exclamation point, Link exclamation point, and again, like I said, a lot of the times when you have a mute protagonist in a game, in sort of a story scenario, their emotions are usually limited to a question mark popping above their head, or an exclamation point popping above their head, or 3 dots popping above their head. I hope I can find all these symbols so I can put them up here so I can give you guys an example and be quiet. But in any case, that was just me hitting at my game experience back then. I mostly dealt with mute protagonists. I was a Nintendo guy through and through. Nowadays, that's not the case. But back then, I was a Nintendo guy. Most of my games were in that sort of vein. I'm sure a lot of you guys get it, and at the same time you don't, because you wouldn't write something this crazy in your lives. But Stewie says, damn, Mario, Link, we have to follow her. Immediately springing into action. I don't even know why. I'm sure I'll elaborate on it, or not. Mario says, which one? Stewie says, Zelda, we have to go. Hops on your back. So, I don't know why. Stewie is actually quite mobile. He can run, but he would rather, and that just hits at the relationship I wanted him to sort of have with Mario. But at the same time, I almost pacified the character of Stewie. No pun intended, because he's literally a baby, but whatever. It's really, really interesting how I tried to establish their relationship almost subconsciously. It's almost like, well, if Link and Mario were dying, Stewie would choose Mario to save. That's almost what I was sort of hitting at. But let's see. hops on your back. Mario and Link run into a Goomba and a Deku plant. Mario flips over and burns the plant. Plant while Link chops the Goomba in half. When they run into Bowser and Ganondorf. Okay, I actually misspelled that, but whatever. When they run into Bowser and Ganondorf. So, again, like I said earlier with the beginning with Mario, then beginning with Zelda, I wanted to switch it up. Like, I wanted to create weird scenarios by switching these characters up. So, I actually had Mario take down the plant and Link take down the Goomba. I always figured that plants, and these are the Skyward Sword iterations of Link and Zelda, by the way. I figured I should elaborate on that. But these are the Skyward Sword iterations of Link and Zelda. So, basically the version of Link's Goomba is a plant. And that's the same case for Ocarina of Time Link. Their Goombas, like every series has their Goomba, but their Goombas are plants. It's just plants that you get Deku seeds from, Deku sticks from, etc., etc. So I just had the most basic enemy, and then boom, they ran into Bowser and Ganondorf. So that's interesting to say the least. You just run into the very first enemy of the game you see, and then boom, you run into the final boss. I found that very interesting, and I'm sure my ignorance on Zelda will start to show here, because I never obsessed over Zelda until a little later than this in my life. So they run into Bowser and Ganondorf. Mario says, "If you guys could move, we have somewhere to go." Attempts to walk through. They both knock Mario and Link in through the air with one punch. With one punch. So this was sort of me establishing, not Mario, but Bowser and Ganondorf in the world. Less of world dominating figures and forces of nature, reducing them down to just bullies at the worst. So they're just your high school bullies. And that's really interesting now that I look back on it, how I sort of reduced them down to that. I sort of drug everything down to earth in a figurative sense, obviously. But yeah, they both knock Mario and Link through the air with one punch, and they just get GG no read instantly. So like it's just for the fact you're popular, but you're gonna run into an asshole. Like in any case, it's arguable that the more popular you become, the more assholes you'll run into, and that's something that I experienced myself in high school. So it's really interesting, and what I was trying to set up here is that these guys are bigger, faster, and stronger, and they're gonna have to work to get past these guys. I was just setting them up as, hey, there's this imminent threat after you all the time. That leaves it very interesting, and I will applaud my 12-year-old self for that. That leaves it interesting, knowing that there's a threat always looming there. Like, not everything, it's not a slice of life per se. Like, not everything's gonna go super well one day. It's Breath of the Wild. You can be chilling, chopping down wood, slicing up slimes, and then you can get blasted by a guardian. End of it. Like, it's just, I really like that sort of storytelling where it's like, okay, establish a threat and then put them into hiding for a minute and then bring them back when you least expect it. So, Mario does his ha ha ha, and then he lands on his back. Link does the yeah, like I took inspiration from Smash Brothers back then as well, because why not? So there's what they call them, there's star KOs, where they sort of go over here in the background and they turn into a star, like we're blasting off again, and then you see the star. So that was the sound effect on Mario's. His little people make jokes about it. It sounds like he's laughing, and obviously Link says ha ha ha, and then he dies. But they both stand up and manage to find a way past them. So notice how Mario and Link do not immediately set Bowser on fire and shove their sword through Ganondorf. They sort of choose not to. One, because they sort of don't have time, and two, because it would just be a lot of energy wasted, and 3 because they were questioning themselves. And this is, that's part of the high school experience. You always you always just have to find your confidence in high school. So you always just question yourself anyways. So yeah, so they don't solve their problems head on like your typical teenager. So Link says, "You okay, Stewie?" And Stewie says, "I'm fine." So there was no commentary from Stewie, and Stewie is supposed to be, and this is how I set him up, he's supposed to be the main point of exposition for this world and world building and stuff like that, because he, realistically, Stewie talks the most out of all of these guys, period. So it's really interesting that I didn't have him say anything. He was on Mario's back and Bowser punched Mario and they both flew through the air. So with that being said, we are going on 16 minutes, so I will end it here, and part 4 will be my last part of this series. I hope you guys are ironically enjoying this, but if you're not, it's cool, whatever. We'll be back to my regular content soon. But with that being said, guys, I will see you for part 4, I believe. So peace.